defensive line. I'm sure you're surprised to hear that question.
Yeah, I mean, Hunt, we talked about that, or we saw that yesterday. He had a procedure on Monday to figure out whether or not he was going to be able to play this year or not. Had to do a little bit more in the procedure, so he's going to miss this season. And unfortunately, he had a really good spring and summer, headed into camp, and obviously we need him and was going to use him. He was very versatile to play the end and the nose. I think Dante's continuing to progress. He's right on track of where we all want him to be. Still hopeful for him this season. With all the injuries we've had at D-line, certainly need him to hopefully get healthy and be able to participate this year. Fortunately, we brought in a bunch of D-linemen this year. We got a lot of bodies in those positions. There'll be guys that'll rise up and that will help us this year. And I'm encouraged by the fact of the numbers. And so, and also I think about what we have at linebacker. I mean, this is an outstanding linebacker crew that we have. You think about the first 3 or 4 guys, and then the next 3 guys I feel like can go in and give us great minutes. I mean, these guys are making plays all over the field. So I'm really excited about that. The guys behind the D-line, and I think that bodes well for our defense.
What's your comfort level with the team after just under 2 weeks here at Camp Background?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing guys that are making plays that we need. Obviously, as you go back and look, and every day we're watching practice. One side of the ball does well, the other side, does well the next series, and that's what you want to see. I don't think you want to see obviously one side of the ball just dominating. I think there's been some times offense has had won the series, and then the defense will come back and play really good. I mean, I think that's what you want to see. I mean, and we're playing a lot of guys right now. We haven't really isolated in on who's the starters. We're kind of mixing them up. We're still in red and black right now. We're kind of mixing a lot of guys around and trying to find the best guys at the best positions, particularly on defense. But we're pleased where we're at this point in camp. We'll have a good scrimmage on Friday to hopefully our last scrimmage where we can solidify some spots.
Coach, as you continue to evaluate the quarterback position, what are you looking for from those guys as you kind of narrow down who's going to be the starter?
Yeah, I mean, I think, certainly all 3 guys have done some good things this camp, and we're just looking for consistency. I mean, that's the bottom line. Being able to distribute the football to the guys that can make plays, get them the ball. So consistency in their passing, but also just consistency in their decision making and how they run the offense. We've worked a lot this camp on the technology piece, where they're getting the play and then they have to distribute that play to the guys up front. So they're continuing to play well. It's a good competition. It's a good battle right now, what we got going on. I feel good about the position. I mean, I don't think there's many schools that have 3 guys I feel like can go out and play. We got 3 different quarterbacks with some different skill sets. And so I think we're sitting in a good position right now.
The same timeline for making that decision of a week and a half out?
I think so. I just think it will help just overall your team to know, all right, who's going to try it out there first. I do feel like all 3 of those guys will play this year, but I do feel like, as a football team, you want to know who the guy's going to try it out first, who's going to be that quarterback that everybody can count on to make the plays. Although we got great respect for all 3 of them. I mean, I really believe our whole team respects all 3, really believe all 3 can go out and play and help us win. So hopefully we'll continue to be on that timeline, to where we can name a starter.
Who are your candidates at nose? Everyone knew about Dante, knew about Jalen, but from there, it seems like interchangeable right now.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, if you name them, they're probably a candidate, is what I would say. We've put about 4 or 5 different guys in there over these 2 weeks of practice. And I really believe it's going to be by committee. Obviously Dante is the best. If he's healthy, he's going to go. He'll be the first guy out. Then after that, we're just going to have to see. I mean, Cam Rutherford, if he came back a little bit yesterday and today, not much, but if he's back, he'll certainly be in the mix. I think that has a lot of ability. But it's going to be 3 or 4 guys that'll be able to rotate in, and that'll be another spot where we kind of, as we get closer to the game, figure out, all right, who's going to be in that rotation. We're still figuring that out.
Kamari's gotten some looks there.
Yeah.
How do you think he's done? He's a little
he's a different kind of player. He uses the quickness more so than the power. So there'll be times where we'll want him to be in there, potentially if 3rd down. We're trying to get more of a pass rush, get a quicker guy in there to cause some havoc, because we'll twist those guys a lot and he'll use that speed. But you're right. I mean, if it's a first down, it's a run down. maybe not being there because of the not as heavy as you need to be at the nose position.
Keelan Smith's a name people might not know. Walk on. He's got the size. How has he been progressing?
He does. Keelan's he's really progressed well. If I look at from last year to this year, he's gotten reps at the nose. He does. He's strong. I mean, extremely strong. He'll be a guy I think can get in there and plug a gap. If it's a run down for sure, to where he can take that A gap and hold that A gap, he can do that. It'll be more situational for him, I think. But yeah, he's worked hard and put himself in position to at least give us a shot to play him.
You don't get many walk-ons that look like that.
No, and we saw that last year when he walked on. We were like, who is this big guy coming in here? I think the first practice he couldn't even get through the warm-ups. I mean, he about fell out. So I say he has really progressed where he's getting through everything now. He's flying around and he never said a word either. And now he'll at least say 2 words. So, but he's done well, and appreciate all the work he's put into over the last year.
Coach, speaking of walk-ons, Michael Musari is a guy that's really had a great camp. How hard is it going to be to keep him off the field with the wide receiver depth that you have?
Yeah, we got some depth out there, and some guys that have been making some plays. But you trust Michael because you feel like he's going to do the right things. He catches the football. I feel like every scrimmage we've had, he's always made plays down the field. You have a guy all over him, he'll still make the catch. Last Saturday in the scrimmage, and the last play of the scrimmage was a nice fade to him. I feel like, and he's a redshirt freshman. He's still a young player, but I think he'll find his way on the field this year. I think he'll be able to go out there and help us and give us some minutes. He also is a very solid punt return guy. He'll field the ball. He can catch the ball and field it. We had some issues with that last year. So he's in the running for that as well. We'll see what that ends up, but he's a guy we all trust, and that's why I think he'll be in the mix.
You mentioned 2 guys that are on the defensive line, obviously as candidates to refill in there. Talk about Lindaric Barber and Garrison Butler's progression throughout camp.
Yeah, to me, they're still young. I think, when you're a true freshman D lineman coming in, it's a little bit tough because we got a veteran offensive line, so it's hard for those guys when they get in to get it all right. They have promise, and we like where they're at in their progression. They certainly have gotten a lot of reps because of the situation at D-line, and, hopefully they'll continue to progress. I think Marquez Parker's a guy who maybe could see some time this year because he does have the twitch, at 275 pounds. And so he'll be a guy that, as we start to hone in on game plan, I feel like he'll be able to get into the mix and actually play this year.
Varner's a guy that's had a lot of reps over the years. So he's in this mix too.
Yeah, I mean, Varner's in the mix too at the defensive end position. Have not seen a ton of plays by him this fall camp. I would suspect over the next week and a half he'll have a big time week and a half to be able to make some more plays. I mean, in order to get into rotation, because we're counting on him. He's a guy that's played a lot of football and has got a lot of experience, and hopefully he'll utilize that experience to be able to help us this fall. But he'll play. He'll be in the rotation.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.